CLI and a cross-platform IDE for C and C++. Download now.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Liam. Following some very thought-provoking discussion, it's time for something different. It's time for me to stand up here, be sarcastic, and complain about stuff for the next 20 minutes. Welcome to my talk. So this whole story took place when I was on a placement year, so between my second year and my third year at university. I worked as a cybersecurity analyst at a large car company. I'm going to paint the scene for you here. It's December. It's a lovely day. It's starting to get dark. The Silverstone circuit do this very nice thing called Lap of Lights, where they arrange some nice Christmas lights all around the Grand Prix circuit, and you can drive your car around there at like 5 miles an hour. But it's quite a fun thing. There I was. I just finished ice skating up the actual Formula One pit lane. I had a great time. And I made potentially the worst mistake you can make when you're taking a day off from work. I checked my phone when I came off of this ice skating rink. When I did this, I saw a very ominous text that's got to be up there with one of the worst ones you can receive on a day off from work. This came courtesy of Poppy, the apprentice on my team. That's dead. It's not dead, it's just slow. Hey, sorry for messaging you on your day off. Not sure if you've seen the news about this new 0 day. Won't say too much here. Just brace yourself when you come back. Yeah, in the dark pits of cybersecurity, a 0 day is always bad news. Anytime that a vulnerability comes out and the people who make the software are made aware of it at the same time everyone else is, and it's just absolute chaos. So that's already bad enough. I could have just done with the 2 words 0 day. The additional brace yourself was frankly terrifying. I think I drove home in complete silence that evening, just like, I have no idea what I'm expected to come back to. Check the news. On the 13th of December, we have this lovely cheery headline. Floor promotes 100 hack attacks a minute, security company says. This is on a massive scale and quite frankly terrifying. I'm going to call out this point as well. So Checkpoint, which is the cybersecurity company who did this study, saw attempts to exploit the vulnerability on over 40% of corporate networks globally. Now, how they quantified that, I'm not entirely sure. We have some fun bits of, do you know what you don't know? What is 100% of corporate networks? There's so many fun discussions here that we can come out with, but 40% is the kind of thing that an executive looks at and panics. And this is exactly what happened. So in question, as kind of hinted to on the title slide, Apache Log4j, I'm sure something that we're all decently familiar with. This comic, I'm sure, has probably turned up before, where we have all of our lovely fancy infrastructure that we've built. We're such incredible people, all of our AI, everything like that. It's brilliant. And it's all stood on that tiny one little peg. And as soon as one person just taps that peg out of place, it will all come tumbling down. Fortunately, this is not some random person in Nebraska. It's the Apache Software Foundation. But yeah, a very similar thing. So for those not familiar, it's a library for logging in Java-based applications. There are spin-offs for lots of other programming languages, but Java was kind of the main one. The biggest issue we had with it is that it's incredibly commonly used. We have all sorts of apps coming from Minecraft, Tableau, Chrome, loads of stuff. It was like Armageddon for Minecraft servers. It was ridiculous. But not many people knew it was there. And again, with not knowing what you don't know, you have this thing, but do you? All gets very, very interesting. In comes this vulnerability. There's a CV number if anybody wants to look it up afterwards. I think it's kind of one that has fallen into the history books despite being incredibly dumb. As the nice comic re-illustrates there, one tiny string that we put in takes a sledgehammer to that nice little peg. Everything comes crumbling down. For a brief run through of how this all works. I have my application. I have Log4j inside of it that's ingesting any kind of untrusted user input. This string is literally all I need. As long as I can make sure that that string gets logged, I'm in business. So it's just a JNDI lookup. I give it the IP address of my server that I'm hosting somewhere and the file path to the payload that I want to detonate. Log4j takes that, attempts to resolve the string, and does the lookup. So out it goes to my server that I'm hosting, probably on the free tier on AWS. This is costing me nothing. And in goes the payload. So it's remarkably trivial to execute. The most common payload was a shell script, hence log4shell in the vulnerability name. So all you need to do is just send that in there. and provided there's no other kind of networking stuff getting in the way, you now have control of the server running that application. It's that straightforward, and it was absolutely everywhere. Now, working in cybersecurity, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It's like I probably could have gone onto the Jira board at the time and seen like 6 critical vulnerabilities that were in the remediation process, kind of going through all the patching and stuff. But what caused this one to be particularly bad? Well, in a big multinational organization, if you're in your nice little silo doing your thing, you've got your processes, you work away at stuff, what's the worst thing that could happen to your productivity? It's somebody very, very, very high up getting involved. And that is exactly what we saw. So this very nicely made the news over in Germany. Of course it did. Which then meant that everybody was very, very interested all of a sudden in what everybody was doing. We've had no interest in information security for years. And all of a sudden, here we go. This is the most interesting thing because I've read it in the news. So this then goes down. I'm just going to have to show you this. That's probably the best way to describe what happened. There's no good way to introduce that picture. So we have the executives, they see it, they panic. Down goes the pressure to the UK. Down it goes on to us in IT security. We're not particularly very happy about it. However, there's a group of people that we haven't thought about just yet that are about to be even more unhappy with it. And that's our software developers. Consider this my public apology for everything that happened in December of 2021. I have learned the ways of DevSecOps. Fear not, I'm a good person now. So upon hearing about this, in their infinite wisdom, the bigwigs decided it was time to put together the Log4j task force. We are going to have this big Avengers-style superhero coming together. Everybody from the whole company is going to come together and tackle this all at the same time. There's the expectation. This is going to be great. And that's more what we ended up with. I'm not sure which one I'd be, but I'm probably going to say it's going to be the green morph suit Hulk. That is... I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight looking at that. Let's get that off the slide quite quickly. So the Log4j task force, one of the many decisions that they did, here's kind of the, I'm just going to have to be sarcastic with this. This work needs to be done as soon as possible. It's urgent. You know, everybody is really invested in this right at the top of the multinational level. What should we do to make sure this can get done as quickly as possible? Let's project manage it. That's the best way to speed things up. Now, what best can we do? Oh, let's think. We've assigned a project manager. Things are going to be really quick. Let's send a 2-hour-long meeting invite every single day for this task force so we can spend a lot of time getting in sync with each other. Let's not do any kind of work item tracking or anything. Let's do it with a 2-hour-long meeting and an Excel spreadsheet. This is going to be beautiful. Now, we have our task force. It's not quite big enough, though. Let's let 20 people into this meeting every day who have to be there, otherwise they're not doing their bit. So nobody can actually discuss anything. We'll just have 2 hours of, quite frankly, fighting to enjoy every day instead of actually getting stuff done. And even worse, none of those 20 people were software engineers. So we have... Everyone is having great fun with this, unless you're a software engineer. And we had all kinds of conversations with people all throughout this thing, starting off with application owners. Does your application use Log4j? This is kind of one of the inherent things with dependencies, right? We all know we use dependencies all the time. It's an inherent part of software development. But if you don't know what you're using, things start to go wrong. For example here, application owner is not necessarily a job that you have. It's more just kind of a fun little thing you can put on your email signature. These people have other jobs, full-time jobs, and are just kind of just like, hi, yeah, Brian, by the way, you're now the application owner for this thing you've never used before. Have fun. And that's exactly what we ended up seeing. Another response that we saw decently often, yes, but don't worry, only versions 2.0 and up are vulnerable, which implies a version less than 2.0. I will give you this image courtesy of the National Cybersecurity Centre. Yeah, version 1 of Log4j had been incredibly vulnerable to many things for quite a long period of time. So thank you for admitting that to us. That's absolutely beautiful. So there's a lot going on here in terms of understanding dependencies, prioritizing work items. I think the shift from 1.0 to 2.0 was quite a destructive one. So it was not necessarily a quick change to put in, which is why it fell by the wayside. Let's do this new feature that can make us money, sell us more cars, that kind of thing. If you go to somebody to apply for funding for your project to upgrade this dependency from 1.0 to 2.0 before any of this stuff hit the news, you would be laughed out of the room. There is no way that would happen. And this is just kind of what we kept on seeing over and over again. Back to our task force. Let's be more sarcastic. How can we make sure this gets patched? Let's try and impact the developers as little as possible. Let's get all of our software engineers fully going on this. Let's try and not impact any kind of the normal work. Let's not try and impact any sprints. That's another fun thing. We had just started shifting away from waterfall at the time. This was in 2021. So in a very slightly delayed transitional period, here we are trying to figure this out. It was all very murky. Yeah, so we got vulnerability scanners going, which are always an interesting experience. So our developers had to work on these very slow VDIs. They were bad enough as they were, these Citrix boxes, through quite a slow network connection. If you were working from home, you had to VPN onto something to then Citrix into the box. Agonizing. You would type something and a second later it appears. I don't know how they did it. So how can we improve that experience? Let's absolutely slam these VDIs with a vulnerability scanner on the hour, every hour during the working day. Then nothing could possibly go wrong. Somehow it went more wrong. We then found just the log4j.jar, so literally just the library file, existed on all of the developer VDIs. I had one as well, and it was on mine, which was impressive because I hadn't used it, and there it was. So where we have these VDIs so that we can tear them down, build them back up, and we have a clean image to start from. Something goes wrong, someone corrupts something. Great, in premise, that does make sense. Except for the fact that whoever built the image didn't build it clean. They clearly just cloned their device or something like that, because no one had installed any of this, but there it was. And it also couldn't be removed as part of the gold image because it's in the image standard. You can't delete the file. If you try to, it will restore itself the next time you boot the machine. So we're in this indefinite loop of, why haven't you deleted this? I did. Yeah, agonizing. Even more agonizing. So the library file exists on someone's computer. They have the ability to write that into a Java project. What we then had was the Log4j task force declaring that if the library file is on the VDI, that means the VDI is vulnerable and dangerous and must be destroyed immediately. It's not a server. The Log4j is not running. Nothing is listening. It's just a box for development. But here we are. So with this 20 plus people fighting, nobody particularly technical on the call. Anyone who wouldn't be able to get a word in edgeways because their boss's boss's boss was talking. So it decided that this was priority number one, which meant that everything had to stop. Every single VDI got erased. Fortunately, everything using Git, but everything got erased. Everyone would have had to have rebuilt, once they got it back, their VDI and installed all the tools and stuff that they like using. 2 weeks, I think, was the estimated time that our engineers did absolutely nothing, all because of this, and just kind of a comedy of errors, let's put it that way. So, yeah, what went wrong? It's the lack of dependency management is the first one you can blame, with people being unaware of what you're depending on, and kind of being aware of what you're using is completely fine. Like it's a completely unavoidable part of the software engineering experience. You need to use these dependencies. No one is going to completely do something from scratch. But to the point where nobody on your project is aware of what's going on is a very dangerous place to be, as we found. I'm sure lots of you can relate with the interference and obstruction from higher up. As we saw with all of these VDIs must be torn down. We won't consult anybody who knows better about this. This is getting rid of now. It caused us a lot of problems. The relationship between the dev teams and security team was already quite bad, believe it or not. And it got a lot worse because of that. And this kind of is it was a good career turning point almost, despite only being, what, 4 months into my career, that sent me down the path of DevSecOps and kind of enabling secure software development as opposed to just being a constant blocker. So I'm very grateful to have done it. It was a very interesting time to work in a very large company, but I did learn a lot from it. And kind of the main things that hopefully they learned, I suppose I left before they could have learned any lessons from it, would have been to just kind of utilize that. There's a lot of tooling out there for dependency management, and the vast majority of it being open source. You could just grab something, and then you have track of this. But nobody, again, does this make money? No. Well, why would I get you to put this into this project when you could sell me more cars? That's just not how anything works. And there is, you can blame kind of the interference and obstruction from higher up, sure, if you like, but it's a big thing there for security teams, and being able to say, no, this is how it's being done, in the face of people who will not only think they know better, but are also, back to that bird picture, being dumped on by above as well. They're but the middle bird in this picture, to be able to very clearly explain this technical concept in a way that can be understood. For example, this file is not the problem. How about we look at this server open to the internet? No, okay, don't worry about that. We'll just do this file. Yeah, a very interesting experience that hopefully lots of learning has been taken from the company, but if not, at least I learned a lot from it. That is me. Open to any kind of comments, questions, suggestions. Please fire away.